everyone. Hi. Hi. I'm Lee and I'm going to show you today how to do the buttercream ruffle technique that a few of you have shown interest in lately. I'm just going to ice the cake the way I normally would and hopefully you learn something along the way. We'll see how we go. I have never done a video this long, so it could be very interesting. This is the tip that we'll be using for the ruffles. It's just a petal tip, and this one is a Loyal 104. So, but it's a small petal tip because I thought I'd do the one that's most popular at the moment. So I'm just going to pop that one over there. I've got one in here with some white buttercream, and we start from the top. Unlike most cakes where you start from the bottom and go up, we're going to start from the top and go down. So we're going to start from here. And we just go around and around and around. So we hold it up. See how we're holding it up? And one row is done. And I've made a nice mess. And we just fill that gap there, like so. And then we go, now the trick is to not show any, like there is there, any cake behind, which is actually the hardest part. But we just basically go around and around and around and around. I do have a really good turntable here, which definitely helps. The turntable that I'm using is a it's actually used for, it's a potter's wheel. So they actually use it for doing pottery, but it works beautifully for cakes as well. It's nice and heavy, which is good. So when I get to about there, which is around about a quarter of the cake, I'd say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a new piping bag, snip the top off, pop that other tip in that we had, which is the other 104, and I'm going to change it now to a nice lemony shade, which I'll pop straight in. Pop my white one over here. I'm going to do a few goes around with this lovely lemon colour. So, as you can see, it's not that difficult, but it does require a steady hand. So I'm, oops, and then she says, just as she says that, that happens. There we go, we clean that up. The beauty of this is it's fairly forgiving. I am sitting down, so the cake is a little bit lower than eye level. And I just keep going around and around and around, wiping as I go, because you do collect a bit of the crumb coat with your tip. So just give it a little clean every now and again. But we're good. We'll do another row. Like so. And then what I'm going to do is get the same bag, and I'm just going to add a little bit more yellow. Hopefully you can hear me clearly. I've got some nice bright yellow here, which is what we're going to end up with at the end. So I just add a little bit more of that there. And then I'm going to reopen the same piping bag. Normally I'd be wearing gloves and things, but I'm not doing that today because this is just for fun. So we'll make a big mess. And then squeeze a bit out until I get the right colour. New one of those. wipe as we go, and then we keep going. So I usually do 4 shades of colour for each ombre, but it's entirely up to you. It depends how much, so you can just nick out the little bits if you make a little mistake. It just depends how much colour gradient you want, really. If you want a really, it also depends, I think, largely on how many shades of colour you need to get from one to the next. So I'm going from white to lemon, so I don't really need a lot of variation to get to the end result that I want. Now, the best thing that I can teach you about this last part, time to upgrade, is fill your bag with more than you will need. And I'll show you why in a moment. So I'm going now for the really bright lemon. Colours I'm using today are Chef Master. And this one's actually a combination of the neon yellow and golden yellow. There we go. Combination of the two, because I like it nice and bright, but I didn't want it too eggy. So I have overfilled my bag, as in this is more than I'm going to require for that last little bit. But the reason is because the board gets in your way when you're getting really close down the bottom here. So if you overfill, you will make sure that you don't have difficulty at that last part, because otherwise it can be really tricky. Always squeeze your bag so that it's also really firm in there. You don't want to have, it just helps with your pressure, that's all. So the sort of the firmer the bag, as in squeeze your buttercream all the way through, keep twisting the end so that it's got a nice firm hold. It gives you better control, so you can control exactly how much buttercream comes out, and that will depend too on how quick you are. So the faster you go around, the more you can squeeze out. So if you're going around fairly slowly, you'll need to just keep that in mind, otherwise you'll end up with big globs of it. And it does take a bit of time to get used to, because you are essentially piping upside down, but it's so worth it because it's such a great look. So I'm just going to do one more go around this bottom. There we go, and we're done. And that's the side. What do we think? It's a bit gorgeous, isn't it? So now I'm going to do the top, and you probably won't be able to see that very much, but I'm going to do the top with a grey and then go out to white, which is why I kept that white one separate, because I want those colours to meet at the end. So the top is different. I'm going to stand up for this bit. The top is different, same tip, but this time I'm going from the inside out, so it's still the same direction, so top to bottom, in to out, but yeah, it's the beginning is the trickiest bit, I think, because you sort of want to try and make sure that you're in the middle, but the middle is, well, you could go around making exact measurements, couldn't you? But who's got time for that? So this time we're still holding it upright, but we're holding it slightly towards us. So I always start at the very beginning, holding it so that it's facing inwards slightly, similar to how you would if you were making ranunculus with buttercream, and then we go outwards. So sort of same as a rose, I guess. And then we keep going, and you need to wipe a bit more often on the top because there tends to always be a little bit more buttercream up there, and you don't want it everywhere. Now I'm doing the same again, only this time same bag but backwards. So this time we're just going to lighten it. We're due for a lightening. So we go over here, pop in slightly lighter, give it a good squeeze because we want as much of that paler colour as possible. And then we go straight back around again. Now on the other ones of these that I've done that you would have seen if you've been watching these ones, I usually put a buttercream rose or 2 or 3 on the tops or the sides, but this time I'm just going to pipe rosettes because frankly I wasn't sure how long all of this would take. So then we go, and now I'm going to add white, a nice big healthy ball, because the world can never have enough buttercream. As far as I'm concerned, it makes the world go round, makes the world taste better, which is just a bit strange, but anyway. So, same bag again, in we go. Not too much. So this will be the lightest of the greys, and then we'll go into straight into the white to finish that off. And I have picked up a bit too much white there, so we'll just dig it out and go again. It really is quite forgiving. If you correct yourself as you go, don't try and do it later because you just make a mess. But if you correct yourself as you go, you do have margin for error, which is so important on cakes, especially when you're trying something new. Now, as I'm getting bigger, I'm noticing that I'm not perfectly centered, which happens probably 90% of the time because I don't do measurements. So what I do is I just do a few extra ruffles on this side just to even it up, and then I'm back to fairly centered. I say fairly centered with because you know, centered is in the eye of the beholder. It's a lot of wiping. There's a lot of wiping happening. Okay, one more go around here with the grey, and then we go back to our white. Here's one I prepared earlier. Okay, so same again. So this is the colour that's going to finish us off, and this will connect the two so that we have continuity and a nice overall look. So we go back over here, and as you're finishing off, you just want to be a bit careful that you don't go into your ruffles below too much, but you do want to meet them up. And we're done. So what I'm going to do now is get this. Now what I'm going to do is firstly pop one here. Now I'm left-handed, so I go that way. Don't hold it against me. But there's my rosette on the side. Now I'm going to pick up my camera and show you the top so you can see what I did. So that's the cake. Can you see that overall? And then, because I have a rosette here, I like to balance it. So I'm going to do one here and one here and one here. And then I'm going to pop this down again. And I'm going to get my green, and I've just cut a V in the end of it because I'm too lazy to use a leaf tip. And then we'll just go and pop a couple of leaves in there, and then I'm going to go and pop a couple in the top. Spin again, and then that's the cake. Can you see that? There it is. I hope it helps and you've learned something. The aim is just to get you to test it yourself, see how you go. But it was a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you later. Bye.